Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to the Liverpool Improvisation Festival interviews. I'm joined now by Oliver Senton from the School of Night. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Hal. Lovely to talk to you.
Oh, you happen to have the grand role of the final interview for the Liverpool Festival.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
And what an exciting way to close. I saw you perform there last year and was absolutely blown away by the show.
Great.
And I'm curious, I've been asking everybody, but I'm very curious about this show because it's been so long running. Who were the improvisational ancestors that sort of formed the show? Or what were the scripted or unscripted people who inspired the work that you're doing?
Right. Well, there's Shakespeare, right? But in terms of as an improvised show, because Shakespeare's come to dominate more in recent years, we were really brought together by a great mentor and director called Ken Campbell, who's better known in Liverpool than in some other areas of England, actually, for reasons I can go into if you like. But what Ken did in 2005, so this 21 years ago, started the School of Night when he was asked by Mark Rylance to do a gig for Shakespeare's birthday at the Globe on the South Bank. So he said to Mark, I'll do a show, but I don't really like Shakespeare. So he got together 3 teams of people. There was the Suggestibles from Newcastle, who may still be going, but they were very well established already at that time. There was a scratch team he got together in Liverpool. He did a series of workshops called Farting About in Disguises, which is a famous quote from Peter O'Toole, the great Peter O'Toole. When he was asked what is acting, he said, putting on funny voices and farting about in disguises.
Brilliant.
And then when he came back to London, he lived just outside London, he got together a scratch team there as well, which I wasn't a member of the core team because I was doing another job. I came in at the last minute, and it was a whole night of sort of theatre sports, really, but ones that Ken had invented for the purpose of doing it themed around Shakespeare. So he invented games like who could say the entirety of To Be or Not to Be the fastest as an elocution race. And the idea of boring lords, which is a procedure we may have done last year. We don't do them in every show. So boring lords is the 2 men usually who come out at the beginning of a Shakespeare play and can't be too interesting because we're never going to see them again, but they have to tell you loads about the plot, right? They mustn't be too interesting. And then funny, unfunny scenes, which is when you're being so coarse and crude that the audience doesn't laugh at all because it's so obvious. And if you make the audience laugh, you have to get off stage. So he came up with all these different procedures for this amazing show for Shakespeare's birthday. And out of the London-based team, was born the School of Night. Named, of course, for those who don't know, after the original Elizabethan group, the School of Night, or the School of Atheism, who really did meet and talk about philosophy and natural science and poetry. And one of the more obscure Shakespeare authorship theories is that the young chap in the corner writing it all down was the son of a glovemaker from Stratford called William Shakespeare. So Ken was absolutely the guiding light of creating the School of Night. And that's sort of vital, really, because what was important about that, and out of that same crucible came Showstopper, the improvised musical, is that we were learning by doing. None of us had ever, many of us had never trained as improvisers. We were actors who learned to improvise. So there was no American influence at all.
Yeah.
So that sort of marks that. So, yeah.
Weirdly, the American big Shakespeare group started also in 2005. I was wondering if there was something about 2005 in the air that was...
Which group started then?
Improvised Shakespeare Company. Or at least that's what it says on their website.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that. Wow, I know of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but the same thing with a lot of the narrative improv, like 1989, 90, and 91, like a bunch of places simultaneously started doing long-form narrative shows.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, and I'm just wondering if there's something about certain years that makes people go, when did you start bringing the narrative into your show?
Well, narrative came in quite quickly, and there have been many different manifestations of this show. But the idea was that, roughly speaking, when we were doing stuff with Ken, the idea of the School of Night was we did all kinds of different gigs, and the idea was that we were a group of esoteric underground improvisers who could improvise in any form, poetic, novelistic, dramatic, musical, right? And part of Ken's conceit, which we never got really to try, and some people have tried, subsequently, is that we could help a playwright write their play really quickly while they got on with the important business of being famous. We could write them 2 drafts a day.
Yeah.
They could take what they wanted and throw away the rest, for a fee. So that was kind of the myth that Ken would construct. But in reality, what it was we were his performing monkeys. And he would, as he put it, ask us to do the impossible and then shout at us when we got it wrong. And he would shout. I mean, the audience would be sympathetic with us because he was basically bullying us on stage.
Oh, so he would be in the show shouting.
Oh, yeah, so he was what we call the goader. The person with a pointed stick, literally, is the goader to get an animal to do something. But then, obviously, that started, as I say, in 2005, and Ken died in 2008.
Oh, wow.
So after we'd been going for only 2.5 years, he died, and originally, we thought, well, that's it. That's it. Can't do that anymore, because he was such an extraordinary power that none of us could take his place. So then what we tried was we got in a friend of ours, Alan Cox, who's now a member of the School of Night, and thought maybe Alan could be the goader. But of course that didn't work because he wasn't Ken, and he didn't have the absolute brutal killer instinct of Ken to be that nasty. And also he was our peer. He was the same age as us rather than 25 years older. Do you see what I mean? So we evolved the technique we use now of anyone can goad at any given time. We kind of goad each other to develop the work that's being done.
Oh, brilliant. And that's what I saw last time. There was a lot of challenging each other to do really difficult things on stage.
Yeah. It's part of the fun. So yeah.
Would you then train almost like circus or like how would you, if you're needing to deliver extreme conditioned speech, how do you practice that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, currently there are 5 working members of the school, and of those 4 are trained classical actors. And so we found a group who had an extraordinary amount of shared knowledge and shared experience. Of Shakespeare and a basic classical literature as well, because we also do Chaucer and Milton and all kinds of other stuff as well. And so we trained on the job, really. I mean, there's always been this fantasy that we could, particularly in the early days when we were a bit younger, we could go away to a mountain hut somewhere and we'd bang it out. And, so this idea that we could do a show, wouldn't it be amazing if you could do a show in which you could say, right, now we're doing Middleton, now we're doing Massinger, now we're doing Marlowe, now we're doing Lilly, and you could tell the difference, all these different Elizabethan and Jacobean playwrights, right? That would be amazing, but we've never done that. So we always meet before a show to sort of talk about the way that show's going to be, because what's very important to us is that every show is specific to its time and place. So if we're in Liverpool, but on a particular day, like our next gig here in London is on Palm Sunday, and it's in Finsbury Park. So the history of the place and the history of that particular day kind of come together. So we'll always plan that. But beyond that, what you see is, I suppose what's always interested me and others is that I don't really think of it as a show. I think of it as a public display of a process.
Yeah.
Like a lecture demonstration almost. See what I mean? Which is fun and it is entertaining, because you say some of the things we're doing are very difficult and frankly ridiculous. But the conceit of it is, it's a school. It's the School of Night.
Yeah, well, it felt circus was the thing I kept thinking when I was watching it because of that. Because I agree that especially at the beginning, there was like 30 minutes of just feats before the show, like the main part of the show started. So it felt very much in that. I suppose
that's the idea, that they're warm-ups to what we're dressing up as the main event, right?
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, some of the things we do before the main event are harder than the main event, you know? But it depends what we're doing that night because there's never enough to do everything we do or want to try to do. And also, you've got to have room for kind of saying, well, we've done that loads recently. We're a bit bored of that. Can we not do that tonight, please? And replace it with something else, which might be something we haven't done for a while. Occasionally, it might be something brand new, again, which is particular to that time and place or to what's happening in the world, right? But yeah, the idea is that we're warming ourselves up, and we talk about the bardic tap and getting the juices going. So they are, as you say, warm ups to the longer form work later on.
So for this specific show, then,
Yeah.
what are you bringing that's different than last year?
So when I originally said to Mark we'd love to come back, he was like, "Yeah, but you can't come back and do the same thing," which is true, although it's never the same thing. But I said, well, what we'd like to do, which we've done a few times, not that often, is get it much more interactive, right? So all the people who come to the workshop are firmly encouraged, I would say, almost required to join us for the evening show, right?
Yeah.
So Dylan and I will work out a way of how we can incorporate those people as much as possible. So the show will be perhaps more about us goading / encouraging all the people who we've been working with that day than it will be about us grandstanding. We're there, like the great Dana Anderson, the great improv teacher, always said, the scene is in the other person. Our job is to make them look good. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there'll be a huge amount of people involved in the show. I think there's maybe 12 or 15 people in the workshop. So unless anyone is absolutely terrified, we want them all to do the show.
Wonderful.
So it'll be a much bigger, possibly messier, obviously with that number of bodies and things going on, but we'll work it out. So that's the difference, is we're bringing in these people from the workshop to create the show with us, for us.
Will it have a narrative arc still, or is it more about different scenes?
It's a good question. That's a conversation I've got to have with Dylan. I think it will, if we can make that happen. But more important than that is making sure everyone gets a chance, everyone gets a moment to shine, everyone enjoys themselves, right?
Yeah.
So those are more important than, in this instance, the narrative arc. But we'll strive for that, yeah.
Wonderful.
We might have to do fewer scenes to get us through and fill in the gaps a bit, perhaps.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm signed up for the workshop. I'm gonna have
There's a
such
few
a
really
blast.
exciting people. I know there's a lady from another American, actually. I'm trying to remember her name now.
Kristen.
No, it begins with
No?
D.
D. Diana?
Might be a Diana.
Yeah, Diana Brown.
Diana
Yeah.
Brown, yeah, is coming over. And another guy, Jonathan, who she works with, I think does a show called The Oracle, which they're bringing later on this year. And yeah, some local Liverpool people. So yeah, it should be, should be really good fun.
Yeah, Diana is in a improv Shakespeare duo called Gamesome Frolic that does like their whole show in rhyme. It's brilliant. Really fun to
rhyming
watch.
couplets.
Yeah, rhyming couplets.
Right.
And one of them plays guitar the whole time as well.
Were you in the workshop last year, Hal?
I took a workshop I think with you, but I didn't. But it wasn't on Shakespeare.
No, it wasn't. It was about stillness and talking.
Yeah.
Thought I recognized you.
Yes. Yeah. But so okay, I want to dig into the Shakespeare stuff. I know that it's not exactly. It's a little different, but when you were initially starting to practice creating Shakespearean narratives, what would your practice sessions look like?
Yeah, I mean, we did do some practice early on. It's true. I always have Ken's voice is never far away when I'm talking about the School of Night. And one of his other phrases was rehearse. We're all grown people. We would talk about the 5-act structure of Shakespeare's plays.
Yeah.
We would talk about the tropes that differentiate histories from comedies from tragedies. Although, again, when you're doing long form, these things can get a bit muddy. You can start with something that seems like it's going to be a comedy, but then there's espionage and betrayal and all kinds of other things happen. But yeah, so we talk about the overall structure, the differences between the forms, and also what really defines it, I think, and which I've learned subsequently, doing workshops with people all over the place. It's really hard for people if you don't really have it within you, is the iambic.
Yeah.
I think the thing that probably differentiates us most from, there are 3 other Shakespeare shows in the UK that I know of, and all doing their own thing, and that's great. One is quite new, actually. I think what differentiates it is that we are very strict on iambic pentameter. Yeah, that and also the fact that we don't do gags.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you do props.
Anything wrong with that. So
you do have games, maybe not gags, but you have like
absolutely play, yeah. Absolutely. But in obviously I've watched as many other Shakespeare groups as I can, and the Improvised Shakespeare Company, they're brilliant, but they embrace anachronism.
Yeah.
And that's okay, that's cool, that's fine. But what we were setting out to do when we first started out with Ken was, what if you could produce a scene that felt like it really, really was written by Shakespeare? You go, wow, that's damn near the real thing.
Yeah.
That's always the target, right? And sometimes you miss, and you go off on a tangent, and it gets weird and it gets bizarre, but that's not what you're intending to do. What you're intending to do is present an absolutely straight Shakespeare play.
Yeah. Well, again, I keep on coming back to, because I could hear when I was watching the show, the meter.
Yeah.
I still don't quite believe that you came out of the womb speaking pentameter. I'm curious as to how that was worked on, because that's something that I've been trying to get more people to focus on.
Well, as I say, with most of us, and so Dylan's the one person who's not actually a classically trained actor, but he's a very strong musician. So he has a very strong sense of rhythm and pulse. So he's very strong on this. No, not exactly coming out of the womb, but Shakespeare is, to me, to steal the phrase from Judi Dench, the man who pays the rent. I've done more of that than I've done anything else. And Joseph has done a lot, and the other Alan and Robert have as well. And also, when I teach it, and is this as true for Americans? Okay. Well, what I often say is that I think the reason every country has a poetic form which reflects the rhythm of its language. It doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's naturally the way we speak. So I can speak to you, and as I talk, each line I say just fits into the words. Now, I'm not trying rhythm or some trick, but every line I say is in the pulse, right? Now, I'm not saying anything bizarre there, but I'm speaking in strict iambic. It's that far away from how we speak. It's not a massive leap.
Yeah.
Absolutely, or very close to the rhythm in which we naturally speak.
I mean, I hear that pulse, and by it, I'm amazed, and would be wowed if people on the stage did so propel their tongues into that form. But often, even actors that I've met still struggle when the work is improvised. So
yeah,
there's a leap that many do not take when they do hit the beats within their scripts, but on the stage when lacking such a page to let it fall away.
You're absolutely right, Hal. You're absolutely right. And it's been a big learning curve for me. I ran the Improv Foundation at a drama studio in West London for about 15 years and created their degree course there. And when I started out, so this was like a 26 or 28 session module within their drama qualification. And I wanted to do Shakespeare, but I found out pretty quickly that was just going to be too much for them, because not only was there not enough knowledge of Shakespeare, but general literary awareness. Because if your ear can't hear the difference between, say, Dickens, Jane Austen, Chaucer, and Shakespeare, if you can't hear those different sounds, then no, it's going to be really, really hard for you.
Yeah.
So there is not a requirement is the wrong word. I think it's easier if you've read and loved a lot of different books.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that it's not part more of just acting training in general. Because my assumption is that Shakespeare could improvise pentameter. or at least that he could definitely hear it naturally and would be able
Yeah.
to write it very quickly. And I feel like most people I meet in the theater side of the world do not work on the skill of being like fluency in it.
No, sure, absolutely. And
Yeah.
if this project hadn't happened 21 years ago, then I wouldn't probably be that good at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we've ever been a massive smash with this show. We've done lots of festivals, but I
Hmm.
was figuring out the other day because Showstopper's coming up to its 1500th show that in 21 years, I reckon as a School of Night, we might have done 300 gigs.
Hmm.
You
That's
know,
a lot.
well, not as much as the others, right?
It's
Because
true.
it's been
Not
much
as much
more
as
than
a showstopper, but that's still
yeah.
a lot
Um,
more than most improv groups can say.
yeah, but I really do think it's the thousands of hours of practice. It is that, but I say most of our practice has been done on the job,
Yeah.
you know. And also by this stage, I think what sustains us is that of the five of us, Rob is quite a new recruit, but the other four have been together. Well, I mean, I suppose Joe's been with us for 12 years, and the other three of us have known each other for over 20 years. So that's also it, you know.
Hmm.
And we should all know by now that what makes any good improv show is the group,
Yeah.
whether the group gels or not. Nothing can replace that. Nothing can fake it.
Hmm.
You know, it's the same with Showstopper, same Ostentatious, same with all the good shows. If the group love being with each other, love playing, love supporting and challenging each other, then
Hmm.
that's what makes the show work, ultimately.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
Yeah.
Not many groups can say that they've been playing together for 20 years.
No, absolutely.
I'm curious, how has that changed, like within each 5 year increment, if you think about the evolution of the group?
Ooh, so 5 years. That's 2005 to 2010. That contained the death of
Hmm.
Ken and kind of
Hmm.
moving on beyond that. So that was in that first 5 years. Then I would say 2010, 2015 was possibly when we were at our busiest. We did our 3 or 4 Edinburghs in that time. And also Sean and Adam went on and made a slightly different show called Rhapsodes, which was sort of our work, but a bit more competitive,
Hmm.
like a sort of bardic competition with a laurel wreath awarded at the end and stuff.
Hmm.
And then when we got to 10 years, there was a slight slowing down.
Hmm.
And I was the one who said, I think we should stop at 10 years and never do a gig again. Right? It'll be like the Beatles or the Stones, right? We'll have had these
Hmm.
amazing 10 years and then we just stop. And but what that meant, what they encouraged some of the others to do was like, oh no, we need to do more gigs. So then it picked up again because of that goad, I suppose, that provocation
Hmm.
between 2015 2020. But then we're coming to COVID and the pandemic
Hmm.
and many, many changes in the world and us all getting older and doing other things. And, you know, one or two of the members decided, you know, thank you very much. They'd had enough. They were moving on, or we are all still friends. That's fine.
Hmm.
Um, and so in the last few years, I was very keen of the 20th anniversary last year to mark that
Hmm.
because who knows? I didn't know if we'd come back this year and people would still want to do the gigs, you know? Um,
So the show I saw last year was the 20th anniversary show, and it was
yeah,
on Shakespeare's baptism day. That's crazy.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. We did two little tours that year. When you saw us in Liverpool, we'd just
Hmm.
been in Leeds for Slung Low, wonderful company that I'm a member of, and also in the second oldest theatre in England, which is in Richmond, Yorkshire, the
Hmm.
Georgian Theatre Royal in Richmond, Yorkshire, which we'd never played. And then we did some more dates in London and Wales in the year. So that was our 20th anniversary year. Yeah,
Oh,
very lucky, as you say, very very lucky.
yeah, well, it's almost an unbelievable story in terms of it's so different from when you ask 90% of people how their show started. You don't get the globe as the answer that
Yeah,
often.
right. Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
actually on the stage of the globe?
Main stage. We were the main entertainment of Shakespeare's birthday.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's seeing those early days, we did a gig there. I mean, there was a gig after Ken died, although I couldn't do this because I was doing a play. We were on the main stage of the National doing gigs, you know, and Hey on Wye Festival and the Castle at Elsinore and all kinds of amazing gigs that we've done.
oh.
And And now I think what drives us mostly is when there's a place we really want to go.
Hmm.
So during lockdown, I acted on, there's this amazing place in central Wales, right in the middle of the valleys, called the Willow Globe,
Hmm.
near Llandrindod, Wales. And it's a globe, a miniature globe, seats about 150 people, made out of living willow. Okay, it has to be trimmed every few years because the crown grows over everyone's head, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it's absolutely magical. And Sue, you know, one of the lady who runs it invited us there, and we've been back. I think this later this year will be our sixth year in a row we've been there. But we just wanted to go because it was such an extraordinary place.
Hmm.
Or our first gigs in London for ages last year were at Sands Studios in Rotherhithe.
Hmm.
Have you ever been there?
No.
Here in London? So it's this extraordinary place that was a squat in the 70s and then got turned into a film studio. They make their money from renting costumes, very, very high level
Hmm.
film costumes. And a lady called Christine Edzard, the director, lives there. And they have their own theatre, or what looks like a theatre, but
Hmm.
it's really a film studio masquerading as a theatre because they built it to make a film called The Children's Midsummer Night's Dream in the early 90s, I think. So we did two gigs there, and what that meant was also we get broadcast level multi-camera edits of our shows. But it's an extraordinary place, and it felt like absolutely our home, a sort of unusual, esoteric, unique place to be. So that's what drives us now, I suppose.
Yeah. How does the show change when you're playing to a stage like that?
Like the movie
The
theatre.
movie or the Globe or the National
Oh,
or, you know.
well, the Willow Globe is outdoors
Hmm.
for one thing, and it's also very relaxed, very friendly. But it's got a proper flat stage, two side doors, central entrance, little balcony which you have to climb up a ladder to get to at the back.
Hmm.
It's a proper miniature globe, but we can get out in the audience very easily, and they're very friendly because some of these people have now seen us every year for 5 years, 6 years this year.
Hmm.
Whereas in Sands, that was a big new thing, new venue for us. Alan had done some work there, making a film, and it was our first time in London for like nearly 10 years. Hadn't played London for a long time.
Hmm.
So we had to work very hard. There were a lot of new people, a lot of new faces.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a bit more, uh, not pressured, but intense.
Yeah.
Whereas the Willow Globe is a very relaxed gig.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful. Um, do do you did you feel do you teach it a lot as well of the improvised Shakespeare?
Not a lot, no. I mean, I did a class down here in Kent where I live for
Hmm.
a few local people recently, just an afternoon, which was great, and I'd love to do more.
Hmm.
We might do another one here, but no, we honestly not. But I think that's partly because I haven't yet found a way to teach it in such a way that I feel I'm sending people away with a difference. I did a school workshop about 3 years ago
Hmm.
in Leeds, actually, to school students who were coming to see the show that night.
Hmm.
And that was really good, actually, because they were 16, 17,
Hmm.
and actually they're bolder, they're just braver,
Hmm.
you know, in that sense, easier to throw this stuff at them if they're keen than if people are even in their 20s or 30s, you know.
Hmm.
That was good. I'd love to teach it more, but it's never something that's really taken off.
Yeah, taken off. Wonder if it'll become like because musical improv has taken on a life of its own, sort of. But I feel like
Yeah.
Shakespearean improv occupies a strange place in the world of improvisation. Do you feel like
Yeah.
this has really affected the way that you improvise in all other formats as well?
I'm not sure that Shakespeare specifically has,
Hmm.
but I know that so found a member of Showstopper, so I did
Hmm.
Showstopper the first 8 years of its life. Um, and what I loved were the music was making people see that improvisation could be something profoundly dramatic.
Hmm.
Because still, really, most people connect improv with humor and comedy, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But when you did a Showstopper musical in which you felt people go, oh, this is moving. I can be emotionally affected by this. That's what I'm, I suppose, most drawn to, is showing people impro doing things they didn't know it could do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that might be drama, or it might be something just so wild. I remember a scene we did in one of our gigs at the Willow Globe, which was in the vein of bear baiting or cockfighting.
Mm-hmm.
There was an otter. There was an otter fight. There was an otter fighting pit.
Mm-hmm.
And having a Shakespearean scene speaking about while people were gambling with these otters while the otters were fighting, which did end up with one of our members severely spraining his ankles, unfortunately, was great. So, it's got to go where it's got to go, right? So if it goes bizarre, it goes bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Then you've got to find a way to contextualize that and absorb it into the circle of ideas. So, no, the short answer to your question is I don't think it's Shakespeare that has affected how I improvise. It's more the fact that I love it when someone dies and people are moved by the death.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Okay, then I know Showstopper, when it was founding, practiced a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
Still do.
Maybe
my wife still does.
Can I ask it then about in the realm of Showstopper, what was it like to build that show? And to like go and how did you know that it was eventually going to work? And what were the things that you were feeling like we need to figure out these things in order to make the show work?
Well, that never ends, I think, in really good shows. Like there's always new stuff, there's always new musicals, and musical theatre is always developing. But I would say one of the most important things, again, is that we all loved being with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because you say, how long did it take to know it was going to take off? When we did our first Edinburgh in 2008, we'd only done 8 to 10 live shows. And we put the show on in a porter cabin in George Square, 60-seater, and it was sold out throughout the entire festival. So Showstopper has never had an Edinburgh where it didn't sell really well from the day one when we'd done hardly any shows. So there was something about the attempt, because at that time, obviously in America, there was Baby Wants Candy, which is, I think, the oldest one, and there's no shoes as well. But at that time, there was no one in UK anywhere near it doing anything like what Showstopper does. So the idea of the show just brought people in. And in that sense, to be in Showstopper was blessed, because from day one, we had great audiences, we had great reviews, the show went down brilliantly, standing ovations every night, So we knew within a week of being in Edinburgh, our first Edinburgh, that it was a goer.
Yeah.
It had hit. But as I say, that is partly the idea of the thing and the structure of the thing, but it's also just eight or 10 people who just love being with each other, because those first 3-5 years, we didn't hardly earn a penny from it.
How were you assembled then?
So how does that work? Let me see. Again, it starts with Ken. We did a bunch of gigs with Ken at the Royal Court, which were called Decor Without Production, because this is a pun on a series of shows that happened in the 60s and 70s called Production Without Decor, which was a sort of scripts and hand readings of plays. So we did Decor Without Production, and we perform on whatever the set was at the Royal Court at that time. We only did, I think we did 2 upstairs in a small theatre and then 5 or 6 downstairs. But this was around the time of their 50th anniversary. And Ken, although he didn't really understand music, wanted to have a musical element. Myself and Adam and Sean and my wife Lucy were already still part of this company, but he brought in Dylan Emery. I can't remember on whose recommendation. And Dylan, of course, is a very skilled improviser, but he came in purely as a musician at first. I mean, purely as a musician, having to do all the crazy things that Ken was throwing at him. And Dylan really knew Ruth and Pippa, who, along with my wife Lucy, were the 3 original female members of Showstopper. So
wait, I didn't even clock that. Your wife is Lucy Trod?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And we met through improv. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you guys do a duo ever?
No, we don't. Every day. We do a duo every day.
Every day.
No, we've never done a duo show. So, and then it turns out that Adam and Dylan, completely separately, they'd never met before this, had both always wanted to make a full-length improvised musical, right? And they started chatting about it, because they are really the driving force of what made the show. But then they had a challenge in the form of Ken, which was, again, Ken was such a force that if you brought Ken in the room, A, he had a keen ear for music. But B, he'd do it a couple of times, then go, I'm bored now, let's do something else. Right? The idea of honing a form and improving a form was of no interest to him at all. Well,
Yeah.
that's unfair. In his writing, he was always honing and perfecting things, but in impro terms, he was not going to think about perfecting this thing. So, in a sense, the School of Night was born as what's the word? A diversion device, for Ken. So he would be busy with us while Showstopper was developing elsewhere, right? And I know Dylan and Adam would let him come, and he was not allowed to direct. He was allowed to sit at the back of the room and give notes to them and them only while they worked with the actors. But then with the School of Night, he was given carte blanche to do whatever he liked. So School of Night developed slowly. Showstopper developed slowly, as I say, a couple of years after we'd started doing School of Night. And then Ken died shortly after that first Edinburgh. So we'd hardly done any shows.
Yeah.
And then it developed without him.
But did he get to see it?
He did, and he found it very, very moving. Yeah, he came up to Edinburgh. He literally died 8 or 10 days after he saw us in Edinburgh. And he was very moved. And I think he said to Lucy, as I remember, he said, in tears, and I didn't think I ever saw him cry, but he did cry to Lucy. And he said, "No, I don't think anyone has a right to be that good."
Oh.
So yeah, he did see it, and he found it very, very moving. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is extremely moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so amazing that he got to see it.
Sorry.
Got to see it do so well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's those two shows and the Improvathon all come from the same stem of people, of activity, a lot of Adam Megiddo's drive and Dylan's hard work, but it's all the same core community which has expanded over 20 years.
Yeah, it's such an incredible group that has pushed improv so much farther than it would have gotten without you all. So I'm very, very appreciative of all the work that you put in the early 2000s. I'm still excited about the Lucy thing. I feel like we brushed past that. What are the biggest things you've learned from her in terms of improv?
From my wife? That's a really good question. What have I learned from Lucy? I've learned that I'm only a passable singer. She's such an extraordinary singer. I've learned that joy is deceptively powerful as a transformative tool in improv, since she's always so wonderfully positive. Yeah, those would be the main things. I mean, she sort of embodies the spirit of yes, my wife said.
Yeah. I've seen her play a couple times now, and it's just like both always completely hilarious while also just unseemly, like just so impressive that you're like, what? I just saw her singing the reunion show at Improv Amsterdam.
Okay, right.
People were like, the crowd was just going nuts cheering. It was so fun.
Oh, lovely. And did you see any of the Improvathon that's just happened?
No, I missed it because I was in Amsterdam.
Oh, you were in Amsterdam.
But I saw one episode of the Improvathon last year, right near the end of it. So everyone was like, oh.
Oh, wow. That must be very odd to come in and see it just at the end.
It was really funny to see the sort of delirious. It felt like I was entering into something very sacred, but also like I had no idea what was going on with the plot by that point.
Yeah.
Really fun. I hope I get to see it at some point in its entirety.
Well, she loves it. She loves to. She's only done it twice in Amsterdam, I think. So she'd love to do it some more. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I also meant the Improvathon. I would love to see sit down and see the full. Do you think that changed the way that you play, of playing for that many hours in a row? Is there any of that in the School of Night?
Yeah. I think my first Improvathon was quite a long time ago. So I'm just checking my plug-in here because it's all right. Okay. My first Improvathon was again about 20 years ago. Me and Lucy went over to Canada and we did the 53-hour Improvathon in Canada before we'd done a 50-hour here. And that was a serious hallucination.
You did all 53 hours in Canada?
Yeah. Well, I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
I've done 8 or 9 full 50s, I think,
Hmm.
but only one since I became a father.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Lucy and I tend to do half and half. So this year I did the first 26 hours, and she did the last 26. So we overlapped by 2 hours in the middle. Um, yeah, relaxation. I mean, just relaxation, and again, the thing about the power of yes in the improvathon, it's absolutely vital. And I tend to flip. I was talking to, I think it was Dylan about this actually. I tend to get flipped in drama, get drawn to drama. I want to do something really serious. But then if you do that in the improvathon, it can be very powerful, but you tend to get quite isolated
Hmm.
in the community. Whereas if you're someone who just helps people, like people like caretakers are really useful.
Yeah.
You know, people who, taxi drivers, people who do stuff for others,
Hmm.
really useful. So I'm sure that if I do the improvathon next year, I'll play someone quite low status who just helps other people because I did high drama this year, which was great fun. We did a fantastic Shakespearean last set,
Hmm.
but it left me quite isolated.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Be,
It's
be,
always a
be, be
way.
positive, be helpful, be relaxed.
Yeah. I'm now curious about your kids, if I can ask. What
Well,
do you think that having two improviser parents changes the way you grow up and interact with play in the world? Are they also becoming improvisers or?
wow. No, and so I don't. Well, I don't think he's becoming an improviser as a performer, but I think it definitely affects the way children approach their day, approach their lives,
Hmm.
without a doubt. He's seen a lot of improv. He's
Yeah.
seen. I've never seen School of Night. We've seen Showstopper. He saw 8 hours of the improvathon this year. He's 15 now.
Hmm.
So he's seen a lot.
Yeah.
you know. And now Lucy has established a group here in Folkestone that I teach for as well, called Folkestone Improv Theatre, or FIT, which has been going for 2 years. And so he's come to see all of those gigs with the people we've been training up over the last nearly 2 years.
Hmm.
So he's seen a lot. I think it affects his life, yeah. But
Yeah.
not as
Was
a,
it easier when he was like 3 and 4 years old to convince him to do things and to sort of operate in that imaginary world, or?
Oh, well, I mean, all kids, I think pretty much all kids do that. I've said, I often say, you can't really teach. I don't think you can teach improv to anyone below the age of, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, because it's just what they do. They do it
Hmm.
already. They're like, what are you talking about? What's the problem?
But usually their parents are not doing it, is I guess what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. So what do we take away from them to
Hmm.
stop them from doing that? I don't think it is just parents. I think it's also
Yeah.
social awareness, isn't it? As social awareness grows, I want to be either like people I'm with or not be noticed so much as we grow, and then we go into puberty, and that's a whole mess of hormones. You know what I mean? Literally, when you go into puberty, your brain sort of is literally physically restructuring. So it's no wonder that at that stage it all gets a bit confusing.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, were you improvising as when did you start theater? Were you an adolescent or?
I started doing school plays and then amateur plays, and then I joined the National Youth Theatre when I was 14.
Yeah.
Did that every summer, and then after an aborted attempt at university, I ran away to drama school, Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, and I've been acting ever since.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't mean
Do
I've always been in a job, Hal,
yeah.
but I have
We can't
been
assume with acting.
doing my best. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But no improvisation as a performer before I started with Ken,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I was 35.
But you'd already been doing so much scripted. You already had 15 years of,
Yeah,
or
but a
20
lot of
years of.
actors. So I'm in my mid 50s. A lot of actors my age and older are terrified of improvisation.
Hmm.
It was only because someone asked me who I inherently trusted, that I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah. What has it been like to watch the art form evolve, and where do you think it's going?
Yeah, that's a great question. Going in loads of different directions, for one
Hmm.
thing. And I think that we're just maybe starting to get to the point where people, as in the general public, are realizing that impro, A, doesn't have to be funny, and B, is not just one thing.
Hmm.
So impro is an umbrella term like theater or dance. It can be all kinds of different things. Um, I think we're still at a stage whereby, because times are hard and because capitalism has such a grip on us,
Hmm.
people are still slightly obsessed by format.
Yeah.
And when you're like, don't worry about your format, but people worry about format because it's how you sell the show,
Hmm.
right? But it doesn't make the show any better. The
Hmm.
show, as I go back to, is how do the people, the men and women in it, work together, support each other, work lovingly and playfully. And then you can do the simplest exercises in the world, and they will be beautiful. If you are in the zone and if you're complicit with each other, then that's what'll help it work. Sean McCann once said that worrying about the format of your show is like worrying what font your novel should be printed in.
Yeah. It's a
You know,
good.
but as I say, I understand it because it's sort of it's the practical realities pressing in,
Hmm.
and that stops us from thinking about the real ground roots of it, which is how well do we work together.
Yeah.
You know, that
Is
doesn't
it?
really answer your question.
Well, I guess I was thinking also about the story you were saying about Ken. Like, if 40, 50, 60, 70 years from now, who knows, you were watching a show and that was going to make you cry, what would it be?
An improv show.
An improv show
Um,
or a scripted show, I guess.
well, what I love seeing, and I have seen it occasionally, is just people daring to enter into the emotional heart of an improvised scene.
Hmm.
Just really daring to go there. But what that it requires that the audience come with you too,
Hmm.
because improvisation is so locked into the moment of creation.
Hmm.
It's why it's so often it's terrible when you watch it played back, right?
Hmm.
It's a live moment that you are sharing together. You
Yeah.
watch it back and you go, it's just a bunch of people with some sticks, but to you, it was you were building the pyramids or whatever it was, right? So it's absolutely about that moment, and the audience have to connect to you as well. Um, but that's what I'd like to see
Yeah.
is like really moving, but not trite, not sentimental,
Hmm.
just daring to be
Yeah.
truthful.
Do you, can you think of any moment from your life as an improviser that was at that incredible vulnerable moment? Right? Like, it doesn't have to be the most vulnerable moment you've done on stage, but anything that pops into your mind when asked, what is the most vulnerable moment you've had on stage?
I've had,
Yeah.
oh crikey,
But it doesn't have to be the one. This just the first one that pops into your
I
head.
don't think I can decide what I did that well. I think that has to be up to the audience. But I'll tell you one of the things that sticks with me is when we were in our second or third year in Edinburgh,
Hmm.
because we were in the lecture hall in George Square. We were in larger space by this time. You know how sometimes people in the audience call something out because they just want to get a laugh for their
Hmm.
suggestion, right? So we were asking for a setting for the musical, and somebody called out the Somme, like the Battle of the Somme from the First World War.
Uh-huh.
Do you know about the Battle of the Somme?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
So it's one of the worst conflicts in the history of the world. 1 million men died at the Somme.
Hmm.
So we went, okay. So we did a musical about the Somme. It was bleak, it was
Hmm.
unrelenting, and everyone died at the end. And
Yeah.
and it took a long time for the audience to clap, because they were
Yeah.
like, God, I didn't know I was going to get this for my 20 quid or whatever it was,
Uh-huh.
10 quid, you know. But what it did say unequivocally was this also is something that improv can do,
Hmm.
you know. It can stun you into silence with
Hmm.
its emotional power.
Yeah.
And that was a thing. That was a real event.
That is. Oh, yeah. And that was Showstopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that probably wouldn't happen now because the way the show is set up is different,
Hmm.
and after about 10 years in, again, external pressures, West End runs. It's
Hmm.
now, very much billed as a comedy musical. So there are still emotional moments and emotional
Hmm.
drama, but something like as that extreme probably isn't going to happen because that's not the product.
Yeah.
But that's another 10 years down the line.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Coming to Liverpool, we're getting near the end. I'm
Yeah.
curious to loop back to what you said the Liverpool connection was, but also what makes you excited? What made you excited enough to come back for a second time instantly after last year?
When I was in the bar after our show last year, I'm always happy to be in Liverpool. But Alan said to me, I think this is your spiritual home. And I thought, yeah, he's probably right. I've been to Liverpool many times, never for that long and for a wide range of activities. But a lot of my early time there was connected to Ken, and when there was an amazing art scene going on in a venue called the Casimir, which is now a night's club, and also a particular bar called Mellow Mellow, where School of Night performed,
Hmm.
and where I also did my one improvathon in Liverpool in the Casimir.
Yeah.
Um, and because to do with Ken, Ken is well known there because he founded with other people a place called the Liverpool School of Language, Music, Dream, and Pun, which was this sort of holistic dream factory where they had art galleries and lectures and plays and poetry and all kinds of stuff like that. This is late 70s we're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, in all the lots of people squatting and putting these buildings up, and out of that came a play that Ken made, which was called Illuminatus, the Illuminatus trilogy, based on the books by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea, and that was a 9-hour sci-fi epic. If you haven't read the books, go and read them.
Okay.
And extraordinarily, they invited up Peter Hall, who was then the artistic director of the National Theatre, first director of the South Bank, and he liked it so much. That was the play. I think it was cut to 8 hours for London. That was the play that opened the Cottesloe, now the Dorfman, at the National Theatre. Was Illuminatus, right? So Ken did that, and then on the back of that, he became the artistic director of the Everyman for a year, about a year, maybe two, and did extraordinary work, including another show he did called The Warp, which was a 24-hour long play cycle, scripted, which he then presented at the Everyman it was 10 plays, it was presented as a 10-week soap. So play one for a week, play two for a week, and so on, as well as all kinds of other extraordinary stuff that he did. So because of all of that and his pranksterish mythology, he's always been held very dear to the hearts of Liverpudlians of a certain age. So he's embedded in the mythology there. And I also came up there and there's a venue called Camp and Furnace, which is a huge kind of indoor kind of beer keller kind of place where they generally do pop concerts and screen World Cup matches. And I did, following on from Robert Anton Wilson, I did a show there called Cosmic Trigger, which was adapted by Ken's daughter Daisy from the trilogy of Robert Anton Wilson about his own life. And I think that was a comely 5.5 hours, four and a half hours. So I've done that in Liverpool, and I've done straight plays, and so I've just been there many times, and I always, there's so many stories, but I also did a 3-day event with the KLF, who were the great kind of acid stadium sound rock band of the 80s when they came back. But I'm not going to talk about that now because it would take me another hour.
Okay.
So Liverpool is very present for a number of reasons. So hopefully we'll come and do justice again this year.
Yeah, is there anything that I should go see while I'm in Liverpool?
Oh my word. So much. Walk around, get out of the middle of the city, go to the cathedrals, go to the bombed out church, go to the Catholic cathedral, talk to people. It's just, just got to follow your nose in Liverpool. You'll find something interesting.
Okay. Oh,
Is it your first time there?
I was there last year.
Sorry, because you did the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
but mainly last year I was mainly in the festival area. And I think that this year as well, it's a pretty packed schedule because the shows
Yeah,
have
it
start
is.
early in the day.
Well, yeah, it is. It is. Well, if nothing else, you must go to just across the road from the Liverpool Philharmonics building. There's an extraordinary old pub, which is very famous. I can't remember its name now, with the most beautiful tiling. It's kind of all this amazing kind of 1920s, 1930s Art Deco pub, which you must go to that because
Okay.
that's in that part of the world. Part.
I'll look for it. I'll do a little research
Any of the locals will let you know what it's called.
and
I can't remember.
find it out. Well, this has been ridiculously fun. Like this is your stories are crazy.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on to talk.
Thank you.
If you want to see more of the School of Night at Saturday, the 9th of May at 7 p.m. in Liverpool, you can see the show, and I highly recommend that you do.
And
If this
there
was,
are several gigs in London before that. You will look up on our website.
yeah, what is your website?
The school www.theschoolofnight.com.
Wow, I didn't know that you were doing several gigs in London as well. So maybe I'll be seeing a lot of the School of Night.
Park Theatre, 29th of March, 26th of April, and then Sand Studios, 15th of May.
Okay.
Just after the Liverpool gig.
Yeah, so you got another 26th of April show.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year, my birthday, April 26th. So it was
Ah,
really fun to see that show. It was
fantastic.
like made my day. Maybe I'll do it again this year.
Right.
It's a good way to age. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Take care.
See me now, like you did back then. See me now, I should thought you cared. All these times they're changing. And my mind rearranging. Can't you see me now? Like you always did. Can't you see me now? I just wanna be with you. When the times they seem so crazy, can't you see me now? Can't you see me now? See me now. Can't you see me now? Can't you see me now? Everything is changing. Can't you see me now? Can't you see me now?